Richmond, Virginia is a wonderful city with tons of history, a thriving arts culture, good food, and beautiful architecture. At the same time, this city has a very complicated history with its Confederate past, when it once served as the capital of the Confederacy. I've noticed a weird acknowledgement and even holding on to of this Confederate history, despite most of the city being very liberal politically. In 2021, the city finally decided to take down prominent Confederate statues after intense protests following the murder of George Floyd. There's few better people to listen to about the struggle for Black liberation than my first guest today, activist, playwright, and former Black Panther, Brother Jihad AbdulMumit.
When I was 16 years old, so that means around 1970, I joined the Black Panther Party.
I invited Brother Jihad to join me at a popular West African joint in Richmond, African on Main. You joined the Black Panther Party at 16, right?
Yes.
What led to you making that decision at such a young age?
Every summer, throughout the 60s, we had red hot summers, you know. There were rebellions in many cities. Plainfield, New Jersey is one, and you just always protesting the many economic and social conditions that exist. And I remember one summer, had to be 1970, driving with my father and my brother in the car, getting pulled over by the police. Don't even know why, it's too long ago, but it was something innocuous like didn't signal when you turn or something like that, your light is out. But they made us get out the car at gunpoint, put a gun to my dad's head. I was terrified, you know, that they would kill him. And it was just all this stuff for nothing. And then, all right, go get out of here type of thing. And that incident was the straw that broke the camel's back, because around the same time I'm looking at all these visual images of these strong sisters and brothers in black tams and black jackets called the Black Panther Party. I joined. My dad joined. My whole family, my mother and my brother never joined, but they helped out at the clinics and the breakfast programs, things of this nature. And so my family became a Black Panther Party family. I eventually went to prison for bank expropriations. We went underground in the Panther Party. A lot of people did. I did. And that really, I do not regret that. I say, alhamdulillah, 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 that Allah took me through that the fighting for your freedom and your liberation, you know. And we're building our nation. And you don't do that through bake sales, not when you're fighting an enemy. We were fighting. We were fighting. This is not some civil movement that's going on. We were trying to establish our own land down south in South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, raise our own flag, have our own constitution. We were brought here against our will as Black Africans from Africa. I know that history. And them sending me to prison, who's ever listening to this, it's the best thing that ever happened. Because there I was humbled enough to meet Muslims, to take my Shahada, to embrace La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, never turned back. There I met one brother there named Kamal Siddiqui, also known as Freddie Hilton, who was a Panther. And never forget him. Everybody invited me to this thing called Juma. I didn't know what it was. And I said, okay, I'll go. And he's there sitting on the floor, cross-legged, people coming out the back, dripping water. Somebody's calling this song on the floor. I could never get past the fact that you're going to sit on the floor. There's no chairs in here.
We got up to get food from the self-serve buffet, which had a delicious mix of West African and Southern-inspired dishes. Let's see what we got here. We got plantains, fried catfish, West African couscous, meatballs, chicken, jollof.
And a special drink, sorrel,
special
that
drink
Musa makes.
So what is
I don't know. She won't tell me. She got that under lock and key. I'll never tell you. She tell you, she got to kill you.
So you know how like a lot of Muslims today, especially in the West, have this inferiority complex where they're afraid to be Muslim openly because something within them is telling them that we're not as good as the West, we're not as good as Christians and Jews. Um, how do you wake someone up from that inferiority complex, because they don't always know. Sometimes it's within them, and they have never actually had the thought that maybe I'm having problems.
Well, all right. I don't know if a Muslim thinks that way, my dear brother. Then they have a serious problem.
Yeah, definitely.
They missed the whole boat. But oppression will wake you up.
Um,
When you go to prison, that'll wake you up. If something happens to your family that was killed when the war's overseas, or maybe right over here, that'll wake you up. But if you're here, if you come from another country and you're here and you don't try to establish Islam, to really establish if you're going to support the kuffar as a vibrant nation because you think that we're so trashed out and unable to establish something, and the Sharia is so oppressive and you don't have nothing to do with that, then you might as well put you in the camp, like Malcolm said. Those who want freedom, you put them on this side of the room. Those who do not want freedom, you go on that side of the room. And he told those people that want freedom, those people over there are your first line of enemies. They'll be the first ones turning you in, just like the house slave. Oh, master, so-and-so's doing something, you turn them in. But let me tell you, sisters and brothers, if the economy in this country ever fell, if it collapsed for real, then that comfort and niceness would vanish. And you would see the raw deal with those, what the oppressor really is. People's animal instincts and their animal drive, their nafs, can be more apt to come to manifest themselves if the blanket of comfort is removed. Then you realize that it's not too nice. Or if you really threaten them, then you realize maybe they're not too nice. And you realize that you could get in an intern camp like the Japanese. Like you get somebody that's like Donald Trump, but maybe a little more smarter. You get the right-wing reactionaries, white supremacists, and all those that follow those type of people get more entrenched with this Islamic phobia, and you got some Muslims that's just trying to survive, so they take off their kufi, they're not going to wear it, they're going to try to blend in the best they can.
Yeah.
And that comes from fear.
Brother Jihad is also an accomplished playwright, having written several plays for his company, For Our Children Productions. I was really interested in asking you about how you got started writing plays, because my grandfather's younger brother in Algeria, he grew up in the colonial era under France. And so to sort of educate the young people about the importance of retaining your faith through persecution, through oppression, he would be writing plays and conducting, children's plays for them. So, and I know that you also do write plays. So could you tell me about how you got started with that?
Obviously, it's something I like to do. I think it's a very, very unique, strategic, and wonderful way to get a message across in perhaps a non-threatening way. And I did about maybe 5 or 6 in prison. And but by the time I left, after the 2 decades I was there, by the time I left, the prison administration was asking me to do plays and inviting people to come in. That's what colleague Greg and everybody would come in.
Wow.
So they went through, that's pretty good. And the themes would be on our spirituality of, the cleansing of our heart, prison conditions, and all kinds of things. And always just making them exciting, I'll put it that way, not just narratives.
Joining us for lunch is Bilal Qureshi, a local Richmond native who serves as a chaplain at the major university in downtown. So, Bilal, as I understand it, growing up you weren't that practicing, but something changed. Can you tell me what happened?
The short story is, which I think is with all human beings, you get humbled one way or another. Allah will put you in a situation where you got nowhere to turn to, nowhere to run, no one to run to, no one to ask for advice, because they'll give you stuff, they'll be telling you stuff you already know. The only solution in some sort of hardship like this is what you do. You got to put your head to the ground and sujood.
You recently returned from Mauritania, studying there. How did that change how you see the Muslim American situation that you grew up in?
I think the biggest thing I've realized is that we need to we need to become very strong in our aqidah, because people now we look at aqidah as we look at it improperly, as in our aqidah is not just we say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, we believe in the books and the angels and the messengers, we believe in Qadr, we believe in the last day, but it shapes our entire framework. And especially here in America, where everyone is challenging with different mental frameworks, all these different isms, all these different movements, all these different things, you're going to become infected in your mind, and that's a product of that can be that internalized colonization that Brother Jihad was speaking about.
One thing I noticed coming from Dallas to Richmond is that there's a general lack of available scholarship. Dallas has so many amazing scholars, mashallah, but some of these smaller towns and cities don't have the same access to these learned scholars. So what have you noticed as effects of that with the people here in Richmond trying to learn, especially the youth?
The biggest issue I would say is that we're now outsourcing our pathways to knowledge to unauthentic chains, we could put it simply. We don't know who we're taking our knowledge from, and so where do we go? To the internet. We go to social media, we go to YouTube. We used to make jokes about Sheikh Google, right? You need a fatwa, just Google something and you find something on the internet like, oh, this matches my ego. All right, this makes me feel better, It's some fatwa that you're trying to justify whatever wrong you're doing, and you'll find it on the internet somewhere.
Yeah.
And so now it's more than just Sheikh Google. You got Sheikh Wikipedia, you got Sheikh TikTok, you got Sheikh everybody. If this trend continues, we're going to end up in a mess. All brothers over here, they go on the internet, they think they know about Islam, they talk about this topic, that topic.
Yeah.
It's like, my brother, you don't even know what nullifies your wudu. You don't even know how many miles it is till you're a traveler, so you can combine your prayers, or if you're allowed to or not.
Yeah.
We're talking about purity, you're talking about tahara, we're talking about basic rules of wudu we don't understand, but you're out here talking about this, and that. It's a huge confusion going on right now with the youth.
While the internet has been used in harmful ways, it has also been helpful in guiding new people to Islam.
I originally found Sheikh Uthman. He's the sheikh for the One Message Foundation down in San Diego. So he had a whole bunch of videos from all sorts of questions, and he honestly answered a lot of my questions that I might have had. But I always had faith that there was a creator, and it wasn't until I moved to Richmond where I was going through a lot of trials in my life, going through depression, suicidal thoughts, and there was a time where I was I just asked for peace in my life, because there was just that specific time period, there was no peace in my life, where I had none of that, and I had to ask for peace, and I remember this specific word, and I was like, God, if you're real, I just want peace in my life. I don't really care about money or fame or anything like that, though. I just want peace in my life, and peace led me to Islam. So that's what he gave me. He gave me Islam for peace.
Ijad Rahman is part of the team here at Masjid Yusuf that supports new converts through education programs.
Dawah efforts, sometimes there's a disconnect between the immigrant community and, American Muslim converts or American converts to Islam. Do you feel that our generation has a better chance of connecting with these new Muslims and doing, a better dawah?
Definitely. I think, it even says in the Quran, it starts and it says, إِذْ قَالَ لَهُمْ أَخُوهُمْ, their brother said to them, meaning that the prophets, they knew what the people of that time were going through, right? So he was a brother to them. Mm-hmm. And so in that sense, many Muslims who were born in America, their parents were immigrants, we went through the public school system. We went through the public education. We are aware of many of the vices of the society today, and we recognize it. And so the same problems that people who are searching for answers, we've dealt with those problems, and we know how to address those problems.
Yeah.
While both the suburban immigrant community and the downtown African American community have done phenomenal dawah work, they still have a lot of barriers to break down between each other. The African American Muslim community is an integral part of the Muslim American community. In fact, 1 in 5 Muslim Americans are African American. And yet there's very little interaction between the immigrant Muslim community and the African American Muslim community. This is mainly due to geographical distance, because the immigrant Muslim community usually flocks to the suburbs and the African American Muslim community usually lives in the inner city. An interesting wrinkle that I found that affects this situation is a phenomenon called reverse white flight. A few decades ago, white flight happened when majority whites left their inner city neighborhoods that got too contaminated with minorities and left to build their suburban enclaves. In recent years, whites have actually noticed a lot of minorities moving into their neighborhoods in the suburbs due to the rising middle class of minorities. And so they're actually moving back into the inner city neighborhoods that they left and buying up cheap homes and raising real estate costs. This is actually complicating things for the downtown community of Meshed Firdos, where we've been operating in a house that we've been trying to buy, and out-of-town buyers are coming in paying way above asking price, threatening to take the building away. I find this trend interesting because it makes a Muslim who avoids his downtown African American Muslim counterparts and cozies up to his white neighbors in the suburbs look really dumb, because in fact, a lot of them want nothing to do with you. We need to understand that the strongest bond you can have with another human is a bond of Islam. We need to focus on building these bridges between our communities. I spoke to 2 young black Muslims to hear their perspectives on this issue. Here at Luqman's Best Wings on Chamberlain Road in Richmond, and my guests Abdurrahman and Saifuddin. Alright, let's see what we got going today.
I already started crushing, my fault.
Yeah, he killed that dude. That dude won.
I'm like halfway through. I got burger in that joint. Got some barbecue.
Got some barbecue wings. We got some mango habanero wings, fries, gyro, burger. Alhamdulillah. What do you guys think is a solution to bridging the gap between the indigenous African American community and the immigrant Muslim community?
I think a lot of immigrant Muslims kind of just see all, like, I guess, like the word you said, indigenous Muslims as like, oh, they came from Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
Or that they're ignorant about Islam, like they're Muslim, but like because their culture isn't Muslim, they're Muslim, but it's just like almost like to a second degree. Sometimes you hear the term like prison Muslim, or he just probably became Muslim in jail, so he don't really know nothing about Islam, or like their Islam isn't the same, it's not up to the same standard, like there's no Islamic tradition.
A lot of immigrant Muslim communities don't really understand that there's a thriving African American Muslim community that goes back for generations.
Yeah, not my father's side, because my father's side from Africa, but my mother's side, it started with my grandparents because they became Muslim. They originally was Christians. Alhamdulillah, I don't like, when I look at other people, I don't like, oh, that person is a white person, or that person is black, or that person is Indian, or Asian, or whatever. I don't look at them like that. I just look at the person's character. So if you start off by...
Hold on, let me cut you off. He just said he won't see color.
No, but like, though, to be honest though, like if you judge the person based on their character and not like their outer perspective, I'm not talking about your wife, by the way. I'm talking about people in general.
Wait, what he just say?
I'm not talking about wives, like.
Oh, wives.
Yeah, like when you trying to get married, I ain't talking about like that. I said when you meet somebody, you judge them off their character. You see what I'm saying? Because you gotta look for the looks too. You know what I'm saying? No, but what you call it? But if you like when you meet somebody, you judge them based on their character instead of like the color of their skin. It's gonna naturally bring everybody together. Like,
I agree with him, but there's one point I do disagree with him. We as human beings, we should know about our past, we should know about our history, we should know about our lineage, and we should be proud to our lineage, but we don't use that lineage as a thing as that, oh,
I'm better.
We step on people or we say we're better than them. Mm-hmm. But it's still something that's important and it's still part of our identity. Like, I can't change the fact that Allah made me a black person.
I'm my fault, bro.
I can't change the fact that Allah made me a black person, so I should be appreciative of it. No person can change their race or their like identity. Yeah. Allah made you that for a reason, so you should take it, the good from it. Like, you should use it in a good way.
Yeah.
You should use the fact that maybe two brothers from two different African countries. They're both black people, and then you guys connect to each other on that. You guys are both Muslims, but maybe you use that to connect with other people, or maybe use the fact that you're from a different culture as another Muslim, and you use that to connect to him in the fact that you guys are different, so you get to know each other. So I think sometimes we use it. I remember the Sheikh used this term. He said, a lot of times we care too much about our culture for sharaf, like to have like some type of like sharaf, like some type of honor above each other. It's like we always want the next person wants to have an honor that they can brag about. Maybe we should think about it, and it's something that Allah gave me. So the honorable thing about it is that Allah gave me it, and then we use that to connect to other people. Think about it in a sense where it's just like, if we're all the same, we don't have nothing to offer to each other because we all got the same thing. But once we're all different, now we can learn, and then that learning, like we start to benefit from each other, we start to learn from each other. We start to understand that, oh, it's Allah that made all of us. Allah is the one that made the difference between us, and Allah made us benefit from each other. So then from benefiting from each other, then we all look back at the one who created us and made these differences, and humbleness and appreciation.
And a lot of people, you'll find out that they want to go to college to get a good job, a solid, stable career or whatnot, and provide for their family. But it just stops at their family. You never hear them say, "Oh, I'm doing this job so it can help the Muslims in A, B, and C way." So you're not really going to community like that.
I hope that this episode exposed you to new perspectives and inspired you to build unity in our Ummah. Each of us has an impact in this world that we share, and never underestimate what impact you can make. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and share this video with your friends and family. Until next time.